professional based out of Kolkata. I mainly worked in procurement module over last 13 years in various organizations. Currently, I'm working in IBM, and I have worked mainly in MM module of SAP, and now I am working in Ariba. So this is quite my introduction, and yes, we have Audit Basu with us, and he is going to present today's topic on PO collaboration, and there will be a four podcast series in procurement, and all of them will going to be presented by Audit in next upcoming Sundays. And now, Audit, can you please share some introduction of yours?
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, Partha, and thanks a lot, SIT team, for hosting me in this fantastic podcast. Right, it's a great platform to share knowledge, collaborate within the SAP community. My name is Arit Basu, an engineer by education, an SAP procurement professional by profession. Right, have started my career way back in 2005. Um, like Partho, started as an consultant and then traversed to the various modules, various roles, etc. in both consulting organizations like IBM, PwC, as well as pure play Indian organizations like Cognizant and all. And after that, I have now I am a part of SAP India, right? And I work in SAP Business Network for supply chain. So I'm part of a APG consulting team. My area of interest is SAP Business Network for supply chain. We advise the clients on the direct sides of BN. So that's a bit of an introduction about me. Yeah.
Nice then, and welcome, Arit, for this podcast. And yeah, we can start the session then. Today we already have it's 5 o'clock, and yeah, so you can share your contents.
Sure. So, Pato, let me start. Let me share my screen. Yeah. Please do let me know if you guys can see my screen. I have just moved to my deck.
Yes, we can.
You can see my screen. Fantastic.
Yeah, it will
Good.
be easy. Yeah, yes, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I moved to full screen. Yeah. Okay. So what are we gonna discuss today? Today we shall discuss about SAP Business Network for supply chain, some of the key processes under SAP Business Network for supply chain. So as Partho did mention, what are been the agenda of the overall sessions, right? So we will conduct it into 4 sessions, right? Day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. Today we are in day 1. Today we shall discuss primarily on what is the overview of the SAP Business Network for supply chain, what is the solution coverage, and then we try to cover 2 processes, which are PO collaboration and multi-tier collaboration. In the next week, we shall progress with the subcontracting consignment collaboration, and then slowly we'll touch base on the planning side of things, which is planning collab and inventory collab. Yeah. Now, so in the last 2 SAP Insider tracks, I tried to explain, or I tried to onboard the community on what is SAP Business Network. But I think it would be good if you can spend 2 minutes just to explain again what is SAP Business Network in case some of our colleagues are joining for the first time today. Yeah. So if we look at our procurement platform or the procurement ecosystem, we have buyers, we have suppliers. But now that buyer supplier collaboration has got extended, right? Because now if we look at the way that 2 businesses are interacting, they are not only interacting in the terms of procurement, they are also interacting in the terms of logistics, they are also interacting in the terms of talent, asset management, etc., right? So whatever we used to know as a good old Ariba network, that is something we call as a procurement collaboration, right? And then what we are currently, whatever we are discussing, that is the supply chain collaboration, which is on the direct side of things. Then we all know we have LBN, right? So SAP Business Network for Logistics. So that is something as we call as a logistics collaboration. Then we have BNAC, right? So Business Network for Asset. That is our that's where the two businesses collaborate in terms of asset. And then of course we have Tolia, which is on the area of finance collaboration, and then Fieldglass, which is our area of talent collaboration. So the point I want to make here is nowadays the two businesses collaborate on multiple fronts. SAP Business Network is a platform that essentially digitize the whole transactions and brings both the businesses into a transparent, resilient, and sustainable way of working. Yeah. So with that, I'll try to take a deep dive into the supply chain collaboration part of it, right, where I work. So if I look at the BN4SC, which is Business Network for Supply Chain, right? So what are the processes that we cover, and what are the personas that we essentially cover here? So if I look at the processes that we cover, so we have that, or rather, if we think about the personas that we cover, we have got two primary personas. One is the buyer and one is the supplier. Buyer means the organization that is buying, because that's how all of our procurement transactions work, right? And then supplier is essentially who is helping me, who is my business partner in terms of supply, right? Now, if I may further break the processes down, so essentially what do we do? We plan, then either we buy or we make things, and then finally we pay. So the processes which are covered by SAP Business Network for Supply Chain are essentially clubbed into plan, buy and make, and invoice. On the plan side of things, what do? We do every organization, they do some sort of a planning. It can be in any system. It can be if they are planning in an SAP ecosystem, then it can be IBP, S4. If they are planning in some other tools, any organization can have their own tools, or there are other COTS tools are available. But ultimately, they do some planning, right? And whatever they do plan, that plan is something they share with the supplier, right? So that the supplier can do his planning, right? Because essentially this is how we have to also onboard our trading partners. We have to share our plans with them so that they can prepare themselves. That is something we manage in terms of forecast collaboration and external manufacturing visibility. Supplier managed inventory. What is the supplier managed inventory? Supplier managed inventory is where we outsource the planning function, or we delegate the planning function to the supplier, and we expect the supplier to manage my stock levels, right? Or we expect the supplier to follow my demand and essentially manage my stock by while flying between the maximum and minimum. So that is the process called a supplier managed inventory. So that's on the plan side of things. On the buy and make side, essentially we cover purchase orders and all forms of purchase orders. So standard PO, consignment, subcontracting, all those kind of things, including stock transfer order. So those kind of collaboration that we work. We also cover multi-tier order. So that is something I will discuss today. Then scheduling agreement collaboration, right? So for the automobile industry or CPG industries, we use scheduling agreement. So that is something we also cover. And then we cover the quality aspects, right? That's a part of our quality collaboration. On invoice payment, we cover the standard invoice processing, debit memo, credit memo processing, ERS, and of course the return order collaboration. So that is the complete gamut of different business processes in a direct procurement that is covered by BN4SC or supply chain collaboration, right? Now, In next 4 weeks, we will try to cover PO collaboration, multi-tier collaboration. That's what we are covering today. Subcontracting and consignment we'll try to cover next week, and in the following weeks we shall cover essentially forecast. Forecast and external manufacturing visibility and SMI. So that is planning collaboration and inventory collaboration. That will come in the next weeks. Yeah, and of course, when we do the PO collaboration, we'll also touch base on the invoicing side of things. Okay. Now let's jump into what have we planned for today, which is essentially purchase order collaboration. Yeah. So what is PO collaboration? PO collaboration means, so I'll start with the problem statement, right? Because we have seen this for quite a long time, like that I have created a purchase order. Yeah. So if I say maybe let's say I have a manufacturing company or I have a CPG company, right? And I have created a purchase order and I want my supplier to deliver that purchase order. That's a very simple way of PO collaboration, and then I will make him the payment. But then the challenge here is whenever I have created the PO. So when we started our career at that point of time, people used to take a printout of the PO and then send it to the supplier. Then of course we had processes like fax, email, and everything, right? But then it was never known that whether somebody in supplier's place have received the PO or not, right? So what they used to do, they used to share the PO via email or fax or printout, and then there used to be always an offline communication or follow-up saying that, hey, have you received my PO? And then the supplier would say, yes, I have received the PO. Can you deliver to the date where I have asked? That was another, then it started another set of collaboration, right? So of course, offline collaboration, people used to do a email and all, yeah. Then, right, so that is a part of an order confirmation. So if I may think about the typical, I think the audience is mostly the consultants, right? So if I may think about our PO confirmation process, that has been there since 2005 or 6, right? So we always had order confirmation. We always had ship notices creating inbound delivery, right? But unless and until we have a B2B supplier where we have the direct IDOC integration, right? It was never possible to have an online real-time interaction, right? So there always has to be an offline follow-up. Hey, Mr. Supplier, can you deliver the quantity that I have want? Can you deliver to the date, or can you meet the delivery date that I have requested? And then the supplier will say yes or no, or of course, in the real life, it never works, right? That whatever data quantity I have requested, the supplier gives. So it's kind of a mix and match. And then again, those offline information has to be fed into SAP. You do your planning run, and you start managing your exceptions, right? So these are the kind of offline collaboration, person-dependent collaboration that used to happen. Okay. Similarly, when the supplier is ready to ship, unless and until there is a B2B integration, means unless and until two systems of buyer and supplier are talking to each other via EDI or IDOC or some other means, right? It was never known at the real time that when I'm receiving my goods. Similarly, when I've received my goods, right? Yeah. When I've received my goods, at that point of time, it never went to the supplier, right? And then the supplier was not sure whether I can raise the invoice. So there has always been a delay in offline collaboration. So those kind of things are always there. Yeah. And then the last but not the least is your invoicing, payment. So these kind of online delays, or these kind of delays were really impacting your business. And then came or COVID and all, right? So there, then we know that okay, in order to have a resilient supply chain, my planning is not only limited to my area. My planning also need to consider how my partners are planning. So that's the power of collaboration is comes into the play. And then you may ask me a question. Okay, fine. So this is for those suppliers who are not in the B2B. Then how this model helps for the B2B suppliers, right? I still remember, unless and until you have a standardized, best practice oriented, uh, clean core out of the self or COTS platform, it was very challenging to build all these interfaces in EDI, right? So it always used to take time, right? But if
Right.
we can establish this process, right, then because there is a way, even SCC can get extended to the B2B suppliers also, but then the time to integrate is much faster than what used to be, or, yeah, than what it used to be. So that's why for both the B2B suppliers where you have an integration, and as well as for the how would I say portal suppliers, right? In our terminology, though we say the portal supplier, this platform helps. Yeah. So what is the process flow? If I look at the process flow, it looks like this, right? So as we say, as I said, we have a buyer. Buyer means the organization, the CPG company or the manufacturing company, you say, right? So that is my SAP. And here we have a SAP business network where the supplier is playing, right? And in
Right.
between, we have my middleware. Right? If we have functional folks, let's ignore the middleware part for the time being. These are all proxies and all, right? But ultimately, what happens? The moment I create a purchase order, or the buyer creates a purchase order, immediately PO reaches on the network real time, right? Unless and until there's a lag or something, but yeah, unless and until there's a problem in my S4 system. So as long as there is a work, it should be a real time communication between buyer and supplier. And then the moment the supplier creates order confirmation, my PO would get updated with confirmation category AB.
Okay.
Then when the supplier is ready to ship, the ship that is with an inbound delivery, he then he and then the moment I do the good receipt is updated in the network, and then the supplier can create the invoice, and my invoice will come, and then of course the remittance, etc. That work. So that's this is a very simple process, because we are it's kind of an enablement session. So I have just taken a very simple process, all right, uh, with which I would like to explain the process to the team. So now I will move, because we are consultants, and for us it is always better to visualize the process in the system. Hence, I will take the liberty of moving to the system. Before that, Partho and team, is there any issue from audio, or everything is okay?
No, I think everything is fine from your side.
Okay,
And yeah, sounds is good.
okay, and people can follow, right? Okay, good.
Yes.
So now I will start, and this is where I will flip between multiple systems, right? So as a thumb rule, so this is my S4 HANA. Okay, I have created a material for today's demo. Yeah. This is my MD04 script. Okay.
Okay.
Now you have to remember a couple of things. If I'm using Google Chrome, because as we know, right, network is always on, with a
And
browser, right?
yes.
So if I'm using Google Chrome, I'm a buyer, because in the network, the buying organization can also have an access. So if I'm using Google Chrome, I'm a buyer. Sorry, it is not. So I'm using SAP's demo system. And if I'm using this, right? So if I'm using Microsoft Edge, then I'm the supplier. I think I already have been into some supplier protocol. I used to.
So basically, for buyer and supplier, you are using a different browser.
Correct, browser, because then it actually helps us to essentially
Yeah,
visualize,
understood.
right? That if I'm in Chrome,
Yes,
I'm in buyer. If I'm using Edge, I'm a supplier, right?
right.
So the first step, what I'm doing, I'm trying to create my. I have already. So this is a material which is MRP managed. As you can see, the material type is PD. I have run my MRP, and I have a planning scenario, right? That I have got 220 quantity available, and then some of the PDX etc. are flying around, right?
Right.
Now, as a buyer, I would convert this purchase requisition into purchase order. Right? Simple. So I'm converting this PR to P. Okay.
Okay.
So now it's very simple. Your material code, nothing different from our good old SAP PO. I just want to just check one thing if ERS is ticked, because if that I want to untick it, I want to check this type. Okay. Now also I would like to bring the text. So I think I have maintained some text. PO header text. I will just put some. Let's you want to share some information, right? With the supplier, and then you also would like to share some additional information. The way we all know, right? The way we use our text, right? So I'm saying this is
Yes.
text.
And the
Okay.
purchasing org and company code will be picked up automatically from that MRP run when
Yeah,
you are
because
creating
we
the code.
have correct. So because we have info record there, right? So when I've created the MRP run, so we have already so we have already my source populated, right? So if I may, it's a good question. Let me go back and let me start from there. So I'd like to answer the question. If you go to the purchase rec,
Hmm.
so if you look at if I go to the purchase rec now, because I have maintained my PIR and I have maintained my source lists. So as you can see, right, my source has
Yes.
automatically been populated. Okay. And now I have converted the PR to PO. Okay. The only thing that I'm changing here is I would like to make it a GR based IV, not an ERS. Yeah.
Yes.
And I did maintain some instruction to my supplier as I was referring to earlier. Right. And then I'm just adding this. Ship by FedEx. Then maybe I'm sending it here, something additional here, right? So here I'm saying, please mention fragile to FedEx. I'm just some example, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so, correct. So, and what I'm going to show here is that if I do this, and then if I save this, okay. Now I have converted the PR to PO. PO number 7321. Now, from a buyer, I will wear the hat of my supplier. So let's say I'm the supplier. This is my supplier's network, right?
Right.
And in here, the moment I would go, I would see my PO has reached here. So as I said, instantaneously or real time, my PO would come over here. And again, the
Order
supplier
receipt.
can, there are notification settings, etc. The supplier can have emails, notifications, etc. So those things are there. Now, As I did mention, you can all the text that you are saying, those
Right.
information would come, right? So this is essentially all the PO details that we say, it should ideally be coming, right? And here we can technically bring or even the line item text, etc. Also, if there is a need, we can bring, right? So as you can see, please ship by FedEx, it has come. Okay.
Yes.
So which means we do not need to send the PO again via email or fax or something. Now, if there is a legal requirement of the supplier to have a PDF copy, the supplier can always download the PDF and then he can say, right? That is also supported. So this can also be a downloaded copy. So then this becomes a way. And then again, as you know, it is essentially the timestamp and everything is there. Okay. So
So this buyer network is basically a platform where the buyers can see the exact copy has reached to the supplier or not, or the other transactions statuses.
yeah. So network is one platform. It's a very good question. So as you can see,
Yeah.
when I did mention if I'm in Chrome, then I'm a buyer, right? Now,
Right.
if I look at the PO, and if I look at the orders and releases, I should have the similar information in the network because that is the real essence of collaboration. Both the buyer and supplier should see the same information. So if I go over here, I can see that also the same PO has reached in the buyer portal also. But now you would see there is a
Right.
subtle difference. What is the difference? If I go over here, I can see the supplier is expected to do certain actions, right? The supplier
Right.
is expected to confirm, the supplier is expected to ship, the supplier is expected to create ship notice. However, for the buyer, it is just the same PO that has reached here, right? So
Right.
the PO is created in the S4, then it goes to the network. Both buyer and supplier has the same document. So which means, as I did mention in the very beginning of my slide, right? It establishes transparency. So
Right.
both of them would see the same document. So then there is no question of I'm seeing this, you are seeing this. No, nothing, right? Same document, both of them would see, but depending on their persona, the actions, etc., what they have to do, that will come. Yeah. Now I would use now the supplier is supposed to confirm the order. Okay. Now, what is the scenario I'm talking about here? I'm saying that okay, the I have asked for 300, but supplier has something extra, and he says, Arit, I have 50 quantities extra, and you would anyway need them. Can I send you that 50 quantities extra? Or maybe the better way, I you have asked for 300, but you know what? Um, I have something less. Sorry, I think I'll show you something different. I think that will be better, right? So
Yeah. Fine.
if I go over here in the PO, I have mentioned something called a delivery tolerance. Right, standard SE functionality.
Okay.
We have this right in the quantities and weights. Sorry, quantities and weights or the delivery. Yes, 10%, 3%, right? So this is my over delivery and under delivery tolerance I have given. So
Okay.
which means the supplier can fly between 10% and minus 3%. If it goes up more than that, or if it goes below, then something should happen. What is something? That control is here.
Okay.
So if I may say update line item, and now the supplier is saying that I have something extra. So I have got 10% as an over delivery tolerance. So 300 plus 10
Mm-hmm.
is 330. I would like
330.
to make 350. Yeah, I would like to make it
No.
350. Okay. I have something extra. Supplier is trying to say that, okay, you would anyway need it, or it. Well, so I have something extra produced. I have some space left in the truck. I'm sending it to you. So that's what the supplier is saying. And for the date is saying same. Similar things can also be configured in terms of date.
Mhm.
Yeah. So just in the interest of time, I'm showing one. The other things also can be shown. Now, if I click on next, see there is an icon came up. The order confirmation for this item needs buyer approval. Why? Because the supplier is going outside tolerance. And
Okay.
then he is submitting. Initially the PO status was new.
So
Now the PO
that
status has become
means
confirmed.
just a
Mhm.
question. Just a question. So that means the system is checking real time the tolerance limit of the ERP from the network.
Correct. Correct.
Amazing.
Correct.
Nice.
Yes. So the tolerance is already sent to the network in the XML, right? So the tolerance of ERP sent to the network, and the network is automatically checking. And there are ways. So there are some customers who say, I would like to stop my supplier even going below. That also technically can be done. Or there are ways to give some flexibility to the supplier that he can propose, and now it is up to the buyer to think that whether I should accept it or not.
Right.
So
Okay.
now
Okay. Understood.
my supplier sent it, right? And now if I go here, the same PO, if I go to my confirmation tab, I see there is no confirmation yet. Why?
Right.
Now I'm in Chrome, I'm wearing the hat of my buyer. Yeah, of
Right.
course. See, notifications it start there, right? So those things in the interest of time we cannot show. But there is something called nice thing called a supply chain monitor. There's a dashboard, right? So if I'm a buyer, it kind of shows my dashboard of actions. So this is an action, right? Because I need to approve or reject it. See, it says
Right.
you have order confirmation approval due 11. I go over here. I check. Okay, there is a deviation. What is the deviation? So I have asked for 300. Mr. Supplier is giving 350. Can I do it? Do I have space? Do I have money? So of course, those are the conversations that that as a buyer I need to have within my organization. If I
Right.
see I'm fine, then I'll click on approve. Then I get two options: approve deviation, and update order. Usually we suggest to do approve deviation and update order, because approve deviation means only the PO confirmation you will get updated, the line item won't get updated. Approve deviation and update order means that whatever new quantity the supplier has promised, that would be updated in the PO, and the same quantity would be reflected as my PO quantity. So now
Okay.
if I go to my S4, I can see my PO
Right.
quantity has
350.
changed from 300 to 350. My confirmation has got updated here, right? So now, which means if I go to my MD04, as we can see, my PO conf is 350. So essentially, as I did mention, depending on the response of my supplier, my planning, my MRP would start considering whatever the supplier has said, and then it would start creating the replenishment proposal statement, right?
Right.
So I have sent the PO, the supplier has sent the confirmation. Now the supplier is about to ship. Okay,
Chip.
now let's check. I think there is a problem because ideally this. There is yeah, because this is a problem sometimes, right? Because we work on a sandbox. There are a lot of people
Yeah,
who
yeah,
try to play around, right? So I was just trying to show in it in demo. So it's the sandbox and something. But yeah, we can check with the other things, right? So let me check if there is another order that I can pick it up. Yeah.
yeah.
Because ultimately the functionality is same, right?
Right, and it will be same, I think, for the lower tolerances as well.
Correct. Yeah. Maybe I can check this one, right? Another.
Right.
So what was my PO number? Let's check just from here once. Yeah, you are right. For the lower tolerance also, the same problem starts. Huh? Let's check what is going on. Give me 1 second, guys. 732. Let me try to create another PO call if
This
somebody
is the
has
same
already.
one.
Yeah, this is the
Yes.
same one I was doing, right? So let me try to use this 7.3. Let me try to use the other one.
This is already shipped.
This is already shipped, right? Yes, this is the problem. Anyway, maybe create a fresh one. Probably somebody has already shipped mine. Let me try to create a fresh one. I'll take today's date, 19th of May. Save. Just the confirmation. Confirmations. Yes, good. So just want to show the same process here, right? Order received. So the same PO I created just at. So here, let's say the supplier is trying to ship, and then what he can do, he can give some carrier details, right? And he can even give some tracking number,
Tracking number.
track two. Yeah. He can also, let's say he has some, the bill of lading or something there, right? So previously
Right.
all these things used to be manual, right? So I just have a JPEG, right? So I'm just saying, okay, he is giving you some attachment. Okay. So guys, give me 1 second. I've just suffered a power outage here. You know, to just bear with me
No.
for a second. Huh?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just allow me 1 second. I will just switch from
I think Arit has dropped for that power outage. Let's wait for some time. Maybe he will definitely join. So in the meantime, just stay on the event. Hi Arit, welcome back.
Hello, Partha, can you hear me?
Are you able? Yes, yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you. Yes, yes, yes. I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Arit? Hello, hello, hello.
No, Partha, I can't hear you, unfortunately. Maybe I should disconnect and connect again.
Yes, please. Yes. For some technical reason, Audit is not able to hear me, but I can hear him. Let's wait. Hi, Audit. Hello. Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Now I can hear you. Yes.
Sorry.
Good. Good.
Sorry, suddenly the power went and my
No, no. It's completely
the
fine.
power backup.
This may can happen to any of us.
Yeah, I have to just put on my backup. I never expected like suddenly right to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. In summer, it's very natural.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we were basically creating the. Okay, let me quickly share my screen. In the
Yeah.
interest of time, I will just quickly go back and I will share my screen. I think all of you can see my screen, right? Good.
Yes. Yes.
So, uh, so I was saying that okay, I created a ship notice, and then I gave the tracking number. I was trying to do some attachment. Yeah, I have already given an attachment. Let's consider it as a bill of lading or something. Right? Some shipping documentation which the supplier is sending. Then there are options. So, and this one I would like to explain. If it is a shelf life managed material, then the supplier can give the production date, and then automatically the shelf life would be calculated. If it is a serial number managed material, the supplier can also give the serial numbers. So those kind of facilities are there, and there comes the power of collaboration, right? Because then the same
Right.
number, etc., is everything which the buyer and supplier are kind of have it, right? So then I go next, right? And then I say submit. So now my ship notice has got created, and I will just check my PO 722. So if I go over here, try to see my PO. So I can see automatically it has created my inbound delivery, right?
Inbound
So
delivery.
which means
Yeah.
if my warehousing team goes to VL06I, they can see what are my inbound things are coming. I will explain the inbound delivery things a bit later. But one point I would like to highlight is now if as a buyer, if I go to check my ship notices, right, I can see that there is an attachment attached to the ship notice, right? And then
Right.
I can actually download that document. Okay. So I can download this document, right? Which got downloaded here. And then we can actually see this is the same document, right? I mean, I just created some document here as just some JPEG. So what is the benefit of it? The benefit of it is that the shipping documentation or whatever supporting documentation the supplier wants to send, there is no need for sending offline or filing it in somewhere, right? You can use the network to use it. Of course, all this documentation can be taken to S4 also, but as we all know, right, that with the new hosting technology, etc., the customers are charged in terms of sometimes in terms of the storage, because this kind of files it a storage unit. Whereas if they store these files in the network, it is already a part of the subscription. So that is why you have seen some of the customers who try to use or who tries to use those kind of documentation to save in the network, and then of course they use it as a real time. Okay. Now, if I look at my inbound delivery a bit, let's see how does it go. So whatever the supplier has shipped, etc., everything has come, and then we did mention about some documentation. So you know that what is my tracking number is coming,
Tracking number.
right? So essentially, with this tracking number, you can follow up with your supplier and sorry, your courier and check like what are the things going on. And then if I go over here and then I say put away is 350, post goods received. Now if I look at here, immediately the supplier would know my GRN has been done, my purchase order status has got changed. And then he can flip the PO to create an invoice, right? Let's consider. Right? And submit. So, and the moment he has submitted the invoice, ideally, I would expect the invoice to be parked here.
Parked here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it will come. So it's totally I think to come, and here we would expect a parked invoice to come, or there's a delay or something. So what happens? He can flip it, and the invoice would come, and then it would be kept as a parked invoice, right? And then of course, once the invoice is parked, then the account payable team will take it up, and then they will try to post it. So that's the kind of a process or a simple PO collaboration that we're experiencing here, right? Now, in the interest of time, I'll quickly move on to the multi-tier PO collaboration, right? So what is the benefit of multi-tier PO collaboration? So if you remember, we said that there is a DHL or FedEx, they are coming, right? Now, in this model, whatever we explain, as a buyer or as a supplier, you need to communicate to your DHL or Kuehne+Nagel or FedEx that you go and you pick up. You need to communicate with them, right?
Right.
But then If they are also on the network, then then again, going by the basic ethos of network, if we can have that transparency and everything in place, then I do not need to do it, right? They themselves should know. So this is what we would try to cover now. So let's consider again. I will go to my MD04. I will take one more purchase equation here. And if I would maintain, so what I'm saying, I have got a supplier 1302, right? And let's say that DHL or Kunenagel or whoever is another supplier called 1307. Okay. So we are asked, so the way we can send the copy PO to the supplier is by maintaining a partner function as a copy supplier. Okay. No further change. Huh? Everything is same.
Okay.
It's only by maintaining the supplier as a copy supplier. Nothing. Yeah. Check. Save. Now, what will happen? As you would see, this PO, this supplier I have created here, sorry, as another supplier, right? So I will create it here as supplier.com. So I'm opening Safari, another browser, because I have to
Yes.
open another supplier account.
Another supplier.
Yeah. So this is my third supplier, who is like DHL or anything, right? And now I hope I have given the password correct. So if I look at my original supplier, who is my 02 supplier, who was in my Edge browser, he would see in the feed, you would see in his new orders and all, right? The 723.
Right.
But for the copy supplier, who is, let's say, my transporter here, it can be anything. I'll try to show this much more complex scenario with dropship and subcontracting in the next session.
Okay.
For him, it would come here. It is something as we call as an in the extended collaboration. It will come here as the multi-tier order under here, right?
Achha,
And
okay.
what you would see now, you would see the difference, because there is a confidentiality, right? Because the price that I have negotiated with the main supplier should not be visible to my copy supplier, right? The
Right.
payment term
Right.
that I have negotiated with my main supplier should not be visible to the copy supplier. So as you can
Right.
see, this is my main supplier, right? I can see my unit price is $1.5, right? However,
Right.
when I go to Safari, I don't see any price. So
Okay.
this is how the confidentiality and everything is maintained here, right? So the price is a confidential document, right? So that I cannot
Right.
share with everyone. Yeah.
Yes.
So now the next part is, now this gentleman, which is my main supplier, he is confirming, right? And let's say he is just saying, you know what, although we have asked for a certain date, I may be one day delayed, which can always happen, right?
Right.
So, and but that is within the tolerance. So he's saying that, okay, I need by 6th of June. Actually, I can give, actually, my material would be ready, let's say, by 7th of June. So, in the first scenario, the buyer or supplier has to pick up the phone and tell these guys that you please come on 7th of June to pick up the material, right? But here it
Right.
is not the case. So, here I'm proposing 7th of June. I'm submitting it, and he will see that in the multi-tier collaboration area, right? Whenever he searches, he will see it is confirmed. And then the moment if he goes inside, he checks when it is confirmed. It's 7th of June. So then I should not send my truck on 6th of June. I should send my truck on 7th of June.
7th of June.
Similarly, when the main supplier creates a ship notice, that ship notice also come over here, right? So
Right.
if I look at this scenario, the logistics provider, he gets a copy PO, he gets a copy order confirmation, he gets a copy ship notice. So then all three parties working on the network are exactly having a transparent collaboration. There is nothing offline. They are collaborating among themselves, and then the whole orchestration is happening. Similarly, if you remember my first scenario, right?
Right.
A buyer has to prepare certain shipping document, or sorry, the supplier has to prepare certain shipping documentation, and then he has to give that shipping documentation to the transporter. Here,
Right.
he will just attach it into the ship notice.
And,
The
ship
moment it is
notice.
attached to the ship notice, the transporter can get that information and then he can progress. So
Mm,
this is one
good.
way. Again,
Nice.
there are complex scenarios. There are, of course, but this is an enablement session, so we're discussing the simple scenario to understand the capability of the product. Um, and with that, I will take a pause because I think this is what I wanted to cover in today's session. Apologies, there was a power cut and this was absolutely not in my hand. But yeah, if we have some questions, I think we can take it up.
I'm not sure this event is. Yeah. Mani said system took some time to process the buyer update. Okay. Not sure. So
Yeah,
yeah, actually this is in StreamYard and LinkedIn. Yeah, this is a live event, but I'm not sure how to receive the questions. Maybe who are joined in StreamYard, they can post their questions in the chat or in the comment section. But for LinkedIn, I'm not sure how to receive those questions. So probably you have gone through all the processes regarding this topic, and I, as you said that in coming event you will discuss about more about this multi-tier collaboration.
correct. So in the subcon, because the true power of multi-tier would come when there is a drop ship, right? So let's say I am giving a purchase order to one of my uh, subcontractor, right, or collaborative manufacturer, CM, and then I'm asking. Then instead of me supplying the component,
Hmm.
I'm asking another supplier to drop ship the component to my subcontractor, right?
Okay.
Which is your, which is so in those kind of scenario, network brings a very much transparency
Hmm.
within this process, right? Because in that scenario, um, if if it was not a collaborative platform, then what would have happened is that the buyer or has to coordinate between two suppliers. But if both the uh, collaborative manufacturer, component manufacturer, or subcontractor and the component provider are on the network, and then using the power of multi-tier collaboration, they themselves can actually collaborate, right? So that process would be much more clearer when we uh, do the next session. If time permits, I will try to cover that.
Okay, fine. So yeah, I think everything is covered for today, and I don't think we have received any further questions. In the meantime, in the comment section of the event, we if we receive any questions, we will note down. We will cover it in next episode or the next event. And today actually, yeah, the uh, we are end of the session. And thank you, Arit. Thank you for your knowledge sharing. Wonderful 1 hour. And yeah, that's all. And it's Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday
Thank
evening.
you.
So
Thanks a lot.
thank you, everyone. Have a nice rest of the day and happy Sunday.
Thank you very much. It was really nice
Thank
sharing
you,
the
Arit.
knowledge. And again, apologies, some infra issues. But overall, I hope
That is fine.
it was something that we enjoyed. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye
Bye, Arit.
bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.